How's it going, guys? I'm back for another October Horror Fest video, and in this video I'm going to be talking about another one of my absolute favorite horror films. This is definitely in my top 10 favorite horror movies. I grew up watching this movie. I saw it when I was very young, and this is just one movie that, as always, I just have to watch every year in October. The movie I'm going to be talking about was directed by Tim Burton, and it is Sleepy Hollow. And this movie stars Johnny Depp, Christina Ricci, and Christopher Walken. Now, like I said, I saw this movie back when I was very young, and I actually saw this one before I even knew the story of Sleepy Hollow. I saw this before I read the the classic story, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow by Washington Irving, and before I saw the classic Disney animated cartoon. So this was the first time I was ever introduced to the whole idea of the Headless Horseman and the story of Ichabod Crane, the school teacher. And yeah, ever since I saw this, I've always had a fascination with that story of the Headless Horseman. I've got a couple copies of the book, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, and it's just one story that fascinated me. Even when I was younger, and I was outside, like on the playground at school, I would run around pretending like the Headless Horseman was coming after me, trying to cut my head off. This movie also really did creep me out when I was young, but it was the first film I ever saw that starred Johnny Depp, and the second one that starred Christina Ricci. I actually saw her before in Casper, and it was also my first Tim Burton movie. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get into the plot of the film. So basically the film actually follows Johnny Depp, who plays Ichabod Crane. Only in this story, instead of him playing a school teacher, he plays, they call him a constable in the movie, but I think today's standards, he'd be considered a police investigator. And in the opening scene of the movie, it's set in New York City in 1799, and he discovers a body laying in the river, and he's dead, and he is brought to the people, the supposed the police, I guess you could call them academy. He's brought, they bring the body to this huge room where all the prisoners are, and of course back in the in the 17th century, there's just basically there's cages everywhere. Well, not really cages, they're just steel bars everywhere. And it's way different from, of course, the jails of today. There's just people everywhere. And when they bring the body in, I guess the superior that's there says, "Oh, burn it. Just burn the body." And Johnny Depp, or Ichabod, he comes in and says, "Well, hang on a minute. We don't know the cause of death yet." And his superior says, "When you find him in the river, the cause of death is drowning." And he says, "Well, maybe, but we may be able to decide whether or not he was dead before he went into the river. Can I examine him?" And the man goes, "Cut him up? Are we heathens?" And you find out that Ichabod is very into doing autopsies on the bodies and things like that. And back during this time period, that was very unknown. Like, people just did not get a dead body and cut it up. Of course, now, that's what everyone does. You always perform autopsies on bodies, but back then it was considered like he says, it was a heathen thing to do. It was something that was unheard of. Why would you do that? But in the next scene, Ichabod is speaking to his, I guess, over superior, who is played by Christopher Lee, and he's talking about how that they're in a few months they'll be in the 19th century, and they are still relying on primitive investigative techniques. They're relying on, like, there's so many people in the jails now that are being punished just for simple little crimes, and he doesn't agree with that. He believes that people should be punished in certain ways instead of them all just being locked away or thrown into dungeons or what have you. And he wants people to start looking at death in more of a scientific way and trying to examine bodies using up-to-date scientific techniques, as he says. of course, like I said, this was unheard of, and his superior tells him that he has one of two options. He can either get locked into a room for a while and think about what he's doing, or he can go to a small town called Sleepy Hollow and investigate murdering going on. And if he is able to find the person responsible for these murders, then he will be shown more respect. And of course, Ichabod says that he will do it. And in the next scene, he is of course taken to Sleepy Hollow during a carriage. And like every Tim Burton movie, it's always dark. The entire movie is just completely dark. There's hardly any colors. It's mostly black and white. I mean, the movie's in color, but it's mostly, all the colors are gray and black and white, and it's very, very dreadful and really depressing. But the opening scenes when, he's going to Sleepy Hollow, he is at there's a lot of great autumn and October. There's a great autumn feeling throughout the entire opening scene, like when he's going through, there's a scene where he's going through the woods, and of course there's leaves just falling down onto the road that they're on. There's a whole field of, sheep and things like that. This was back during the time when sheep and stuff like that, Sleepy Hollow was a farming community, and so there's a lot of scenes of just, big, wide, open fields, and yeah, I really do enjoy that aspect of the film. But as he first enters Sleepy Hollow, the first thing you notice is on one side there's a pathway you walk through. On one side there's a graveyard, other side there's sheep, and the entire town is dark and dismal and just depressing. There's clouds all in the sky. It's just there's no sun out at all. The entire town is like underneath this gigantic, just dark, luminous clouds. And he walks through the entire town, and everybody, as he's walking through, they're closing up their doors because it's getting close to nighttime and they don't want to be outside. And you really feel isolated. And you really get an isolated feeling, like you're just alone in this town, even though it's full of people. But he walks up to this really, really big house because he wants to speak to Baltus Van Tassel, who is he's the richest person in Sleepy Hollow. He is almost everything. He's like the mayor, I would say. He is also the banker and the landlord, and he calls himself a simple farmer in the beginning of the movie, but you can tell he's pretty much like the main person in charge of the town mostly, and people look up to him because he's the richest person, and they look to him for whatever, for answers or whatever they need. Also in the first scene, Ichabod is introduced to his daughter Katrina Van Tassel, who is played by Christina Ricci. And like I said, this was one of the first films I saw her in. And the first movie I saw her in was Casper, and she had a brunette hair in that one, and in this one she has blonde hair, as you can see on the cover. But he's introduced to her, and obviously there's an attraction between the two. But he's Baltus just asks him to stay in his home, Ichabod to stay in his home. And then in the next scene, that's where pretty much everybody who runs the entire city or is in charge of the big business all gather around in one room, where Ichabod begins questioning them. Is there anybody that's suspected? And that's when he is told that all the people that have been decapitated, all their heads are missing. And when he asks, all the heads are gone, and one man says, taken by the headless horseman back to hell. And that's when he sits down and Baltus tells him the story of the headless horseman. And it's not told what, in the book, it's told what war that the headless horseman used to fight in. He was a Hessian mercenary, and he fought in an unnamed battle in I believe the Revolutionary War is the war that's in the book. It's not explained in the movie what war it is, but I believe it's in the book. It's Revolutionary War. And while most of the the soldiers that came in during that war came for money or what have you, the Hessian just came for the love of carnage. He just wanted to kill people, and his method was basically cutting people's heads off during the war. Well, he is of course caught, and he ends up getting his head chopped off with his own sword and buried into the ground. And then 20 years has passed, and basically the Hessian has risen headless now, and he is cutting people's heads off. Well, as the movie goes on, Ichabod starts to discover certain things about the Headless Horseman. He ends up discovering that the horseman does not kill at random, but he finds that because two of the victims that have died are actually related, and he starts to believe that perhaps that Horseman's victims are chosen by someone who perhaps controls him. And I'm not going to give anything else away about the movie, but my thoughts on it, I absolutely love this film. Like I said, it's got a great October feel. It's very, very dark, very dismal throughout the entire film, as I've said before. The acting in it is very, very good, especially with Ichabod, or Johnny Depp. One thing about Ichabod is that even though he studies and wants to study and dissect these bodies, he's very squeamish. Like, there's some points in the movie where after something bloody or something gory happens, he'll immediately just fall back and pass out. And you can tell he's kind of in some ways scared of his own shadow, which I think is ironic since he's working with dead people. And I think it's kind of funny. I think his character's a pretty funny character in the movie. He's very serious when it comes to his work, but in some points it gets kind of funny when he just does nothing but just pass out. Or at one point, when he's in the jail, whatever you call it, the big room of the jail in the opening scene, and they bring somebody in, he immediately backs up from when they bring the person in and gets up against the wall, and you can tell he's very skittish and very squeamish. And I just thought, that was pretty funny. As for the other characters, Katrina, she's a very mysterious woman. You automatically get the sense that she perhaps is not telling, as there's something that she knows that she's not telling related to the Headless Horseman or the curse, if you will, across the entire land, because obviously the town is very dark and very dismal, and that she knows something. But you'll have to watch the movie and find out what that is. But yeah, like I said, absolutely love this film. One of my favorite movies. Of course, the acting is great. There's a lot of gore in it as well. All the death scenes are pretty bloody. There's a lot of decapitations in this, so it's not overly gory at all. But there are some pretty good gory death scenes in this film. Also, the music in it is also very, very well. It was done by Danny Elfman, who's done plenty of Tim Burton films, and you can recognize that it's Danny Elfman. He has this amazing score, and every single movie that he does a fantastic job in the score that he does. There's also some cool cameos, like one of Ichabod's main superior is actually played by Christopher Lee. And when I saw this movie, I was too young to know who that was, but now that I do know who that was, I think it's really, really cool that Christopher Lee is in the film. He has a very, very small role, like maybe one scene. And I also didn't know who Christopher Walken was, so now that I'm older, and I know that he actually played the Headless Horseman before he got his head cut off, I thought that was very, very cool as well. But if you have not seen Sleepy Hollow, I definitely recommend checking it out. It's a great movie to watch during October. I don't know, it's on Blu-ray now. I don't know if they play it on TV, but it is on Blu-ray. This is the older DVD release with the cool holographic cover, which I absolutely love. And there's the back. So if you have not seen Sleepy Hollow and you're looking for something really cool, a really cool movie to watch in October, definitely recommend checking it out. If you're a fan of Johnny Depp, Tim Burton, this is definitely one that you should highly recommend. But anyway, guys, that is my review for Sleepy Hollow. If you've seen Sleepy Hollow, definitely let me know what you think about it. And yeah, this is definitely one movie I highly recommend. So if you haven't seen it, this is definitely one I'd say go to check out. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks to everyone for sticking with me. I know I've been uploading a lot of these videos lately, but I'm just trying to, watch as many movies as I can and recommend as many great horror films as I can for anybody that wants to see something new and some new cool movies. So I hope I'm recommending some pretty cool movies for you guys. And anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I will not be uploading videos this weekend because I'm going to be busy, but I will be back this Monday, and I'll have a great set of videos through to the final week until October. So, thanks once again for watching. I'll see you guys later.